We're back with another movie wrap-up, and I've only got 4 movies to talk about in this video. One, really great. One, meh. The other one, the hell. And the other one... You're watching Steve's Movie Wrap-Up, Episode 12, right here on my YouTube channel, Steve Official. Starting off with Society of the Snow. So we're starting off first with the very good one that I really enjoyed. It was Society of the Snow, which is available now over on Netflix. It's a Netflix original. I gave this movie 4.5 stars over on Letterboxd. Now, what makes this movie even sadder is the fact that this is actually based on a remarkable true story. Society of the Snow is one of the first Netflix original movies to be released in 2024, and I found this one quite tough to watch. At the beginning of the movie, you see the rugby team having a laugh with one another and playing their favourite sport together as well. When the rugby team get on a Air Force plane that is chartered to take them to Chile, the plane crash lands, leaving the rugby team to fight for survival. Now, I would class this as a survival thriller type movie, which I do enjoy watching, but what's hard to watch about this movie is the fact that you see all these characters dying throughout the movie. Some of them you really grow to liking, and then they end up being killed off because their bodies cannot cope with the cold and are getting frostbitten. But not only this, but the rugby team need to survive without food as well, which makes things even worse for them. I thought that the actors played the characters really rather well, and I also loved the scenery throughout the film as well. You can take in those beautiful views, which for the characters sadly aren't so great given the situation and the circumstances that they are involved in. But I will say that there are moments throughout this movie as an audience viewer where you do see a really starry night, which is really lovely. The film does also capture the moment where there's a really bad snowstorm that hits, and after this snowstorm comes, it thaws, and then you see like the moment when the sun hits the camera. And it's such a cinematic moment. And then we see the shot of the icicles melting again. It's a really lovely shot that I can appreciate from the film. The pacing is pretty decent as well. The movie tells a story in the space of 2 hours and 25 minutes, which for me was plenty of room for them to tell this story. Of course, they can't tell the full story in this space of time because these characters were left stranded for a really long time, and we're talking over 30 days. I think actually eventually I think it ended up being like over like 2 months they were stranded on this mountain. So there was that. But I think this film managed to capture the most important moments from the timeline or events in a very decent and important way. What's also rather sad about this movie is also the fact that we have dialogue which is pretty heavy and pretty dark. The characters talk about cannibalism in this film in order to survive. They have no food, so the only thing that they really could eat in order to survive is eating the dead human bodies that didn't make it out of the plane crash. Some of these people that didn't make it out alive from this plane crash, by the way, were as young as 18 years old, and there were even a moment where they were all saying that they give consent, that if they were to die, that the other characters could cut them open and eat them in order to survive. So there are some heavy moments in this movie. I will say as well that the music scoring is done rather well and is rather fitting for this movie as well. It definitely does have its dramatic moments as well as its sad moments too. Honestly, a brilliant movie, and if you do have a spare 2.5 hours, then you should definitely check this one out over on Netflix. Good grief. So, good grief, again, another movie I watched this week over on Netflix. I gave 3 stars over on Letterboxd. So Dan Levy, Duke Evans and Himesh Patel star in this Netflix original movie, which Netflix said would make audience watching this at home cry, or at least get you emotional. Now, did this movie make me cry? No. Did this movie make me emotional? No, it didn't. And am I a cyborg? Well, most likely. What I will say though is I did think this was a nice movie. I won't lie, at the beginning of the film, I thought this was a Christmas movie that Netflix totally forgot to release in December. It stayed on their hard drive over the holiday season, and then they thought, crap, we forgot about this movie. Ah, well, we'll release it in very early January just to keep people in a festive spirit a little longer. I thought the acting in this was pretty decent from the cast members involved, and there was some moments in this in which I did laugh at as well, but throughout the movie though, secrets are uncovered and tensions do end up rising high for the characters that we do follow throughout this drama movie. I thought it was just a decent enough movie to get a 3-star rating. I can also appreciate the movie for its stunning nighttime vision of Paris at night with all the lights, especially on the Ferris wheel as well. It was just a really nice thing to see. Saltburn. The movie that everyone has been talking about over the festive period, and I finally watched it, as you can see from the poster that is next to me. That's right, I have watched Saltburn, which, by the way, I gave 4 stars. That's it, that's the review. Goodbye, see you later everyone. That's it, that's the review done. Anyway, I gave this movie a 4-star rating over on Letterboxd. Let me tell you why. Really, this should be given 1 star or half a star rating, because there's a lot of moments that not only made me feel quite uncomfortable to watch, but at the same time made me gag watching these scenes. If you've seen this movie already, then you already know what I'm on about, but want to know why I've given this a 4-star rating? Because aside from those awkward scenes throughout the 2 hours of this movie, this film was actually really good. The cinematography in this movie was brilliant, and I thought it was shot really rather well. The music scoring is also really good, especially during those heartbreaking moments and in those more intense moments. I thought this was really well composed, and also the fact it uses that aspect ratio like as if this movie could have came out in the mid-2000s as well. I thought that was a great aspect, no pun intended there, to the movie. In regards to the acting performances, I thought that this drama piece was also acted really fantastically. When you have performances like Jacob Arodi, Barry Keoghan, Rosamund Pike, and Richard E. Grant, I thought all those actors did a standout performance in their characters' roles that they did in this movie. The twist at the end, well, I won't spoil the ending because it'll give the entire film away, but was I expecting the twist at the end? Most certainly not. My jaw was on the floor by the time we got nearly to the end of the film when the twist was revealed. And as for the soundtrack itself, there's some songs in this movie that are actually favourite songs of mine, and there's one in particular which I'll have to find on Spotify, which was being played during Oliver's party, which is also a new favourite song of mine. Also, I can see why recently Sophia Ellis-Bextor has been back in the UK charts with the song Murder on the Dance Floor. I can never listen to that song in the same way again after how it was used in the final moments of the movie. Again, if you've seen the movie by now, then you'll understand what I'm on about. All in all, that I thought it was a well-acted piece of drama, and thought that the pacing was rather good in this as well. Maybe if they took out those really weird moments that we see throughout the movie, I think we would have seeing this just be slightly under 2 hours. Also, there's a reference in this movie where it looks like Barry Keoghan looks like the Joker, and given the fact the actor plays that character in the Batman movie, I just thought it was a little reference to that. Also, Barry Keoghan needs to play more darker roles or more villainous roles in the future when he stars in movies, because he does do them pretty well and does them justice as well. So if I see he plays more villainous characters in the future, I will definitely love to see that on the big screen or small screen. I think I'm glad that I didn't watch this in cinemas and waited to see this one on Prime Video. I know I'm a little late to the party, but I had a lot of but I made a lot of loud reactions to certain scenes in this film, and I wouldn't have been able to react that way. The way I did at home, watching this. If I watched this movie in the cinema, I probably would have been unable to finish watching this movie in the cinema because of the really weird moments. It's funny, someone told me on Twitter a few days ago at the time of doing this review that I should go into this movie thinking about Midsummer, that stars Florence Pugh, but it's a little bit more weirder than that. And safe to say, I agree, it's a little bit more weirder than Midsummer, and Midsummer was a weird movie that nearly made me walk out the cinema when I first watched that, all the way back in 2019. Poor Things. And then we get to the final movie of this week, which is Poor Things, which, again, I gave it 4 stars over on Letterboxd. Now, let me go into this review. This film disturbed me in so many ways. But there's some really good moments in this as well that I need to dive into. Here's the plot in a nutshell. A woman with the mentality of a toddler is taken advantage of by men in a sexual way. The plot of this film honestly did disturb me a lot, and there's a lot of sex scenes in this movie as well, so if you're planning on seeing this, then let that be a warning to you. It did kind of make me feel a little bit sick at times watching this, and also did make me want to leave. I actually got about an hour into this film and I was actually contemplating leaving the cinema because I just couldn't take much more of it, but luckily I stayed on until the very end because, after all, I am a trooper. I will say this about the movie though, which are positives and why I've given it such a high rating. Ultimately, this does deserve a really low rating because of the plot, but the film gets a high rating because of this. The film sets and the visuals in this were amazing. I really loved that a lot. I think the acting performances from Emma Stone, William Dafoe and Mark Ruffalo was also really great, despite how disturbing the plot is. And I will say that some of the camera work in this was brilliant. Sometimes a little overused, but I do think it did work great. I loved the fact that we had the use of a fisheye lens or wide-angle lens. Also love the use of the keyhole style camera shot as well, which sometimes worked great and other times didn't. And also, I will say this, there was some rude humour dialogue within the script that for me, I did snigger at times, but aside from that, though, I didn't really enjoy this movie as much as I anticipated. I'm not going to lie as well. There's also some black and white cinematography that we see within the first half an hour of the film, which, again, I thought was really, really great. And that is all the movies that I have watched this past week. Literally 4 movies, okay? I do apologise. I am still trying to get back into the swing of watching movies again. Movie critic in me, you know, I do need to get back. I've got loads of movies from last year that I've still got yet to watch, and obviously there's some new releases that are coming out over the next week, actually, as a matter of fact, which I am planning to go and watch at the cinema, and there'll be some brand new released movies that I'll be talking about in my next movie wrap-up video, which is coming out next Friday here on my YouTube channel, SteveOfficial. So I hope you guys can join me then. But that is all I've got time for in this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. What movies have you gone and seen recently? Have you enjoyed it? Have you hated it? Has it been like Marmite? Whether you love it or hate it, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, if you are new around here, you like what you see, feel free to hit that subscribe button down below to become a Stevo. Your next YouTube video will be out on Monday next week, 4 PM UK time, when I will be talking about the Samsung Galaxy Book 3 360 laptop 1 week later. Do I still enjoy it? I will answer that question next week. Anyway, from me though, goodbye, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys again in my next YouTube video.